Some characters in cartoons have backstories that are way too horrible for kids' shows, from abuse to neglect. Characters are basically sentenced to a lifetime of pain. It's genuinely mental how far some of these shows go.
Find my way out of this labyrinth in my brain and regain my sanity. And then maybe, Betty, my princess, maybe you will love me again.
A lot of these characters were meant to be silly and playful with one-note personalities. So what happens when the writers suddenly drop the most bomb-ass lore ever imagined for a character that we'd spent the entire series laughing at? We at Not Fair Studios have done some proper research, and we'll take a look at all of these characters and figure out which of them have the most terrifying origin. Oh, and trust me, we will have a winner by the end. Starting off with a character that was made to be hated when we were kids. Helga Pataki is a textbook example of what I'm talking about. She's the classic bully that goes around giving the main character a bad time just for being within 10 feet of her.
Well, anyway, remember, just be your own special selves as if nothing out of the ordinary is happening.
That's easy.
She seems to hate the very ground that Arnold walks on and makes sure to remind him every damn day about how big his football-shaped head is. But then we find out that the football-hating schoolhouse bully has a proper dark home life. In Helga on the Couch, a school therapist is brought to the school and notices Helga's strange fascination with Arnold. One moment she's treating him like an archery target for her pencils, and the next she's bowing down to a picture of him like he's the idol of a god.
I love him. Oh, Arnold, bastion of sanity in this crazy, mixed-up world in which we live. How tender I feel when you brush past me. How I forget my cares. How the essence of you lingers, sweeping the air, and I feel peace. True peace at last.
It doesn't take a genius to realise that this girl has some serious problems, and she takes it on herself to figure out what the bloody hell is wrong with her. After some not-so-subtle coercion, the therapist manages to get to sit down and talk about her past, and it gets dark fast. Helga has a terrible life at home. Her parents ignore her in favour of her older sister, Olga, and they don't even try to hide it. They couldn't even give a damn about her on her first day of preschool. Not middle school, preschool. This girl was 3 years old, and her parents were so absorbed watching her sister play piano that they literally forgot that she existed. So, little Helga, still in nappies practically, walks herself to school in the pouring rain. She gets splashed with mud by a passing car, has her lunch stolen by a massive stray dog, and arrives looking like a drowned rat. And where were her parents? Still at home fawning over Olga. They didn't even notice she'd left. It's a bloody miracle she didn't get kidnapped or something. Her parents are a piece of work, with her dad who can't even bother to remember her name, and her mum who's a raging alcoholic that's passed out on every solid surface in the bloody house. Hell, they can't even bloody remember her age half the time. Bob thinks she's 5 to 7. Miriam thinks she's 8, while Helga is 9. When they're corrected, they look horrified for about all of 2 seconds. Then they immediately forget again. Helga says it best herself. She's got a lame mum, a blowhard dad, and a perfect sister. And the only person that keeps her sane is Arnold. Speaking of which, why is she so bloody obsessed with the kid? Well, it's because when she got to preschool, freshly traumatised, Arnold popped up like a damn angel, held an umbrella over her head, and complimented her beau. That's it. That's all it took. One act of basic human decency from Football Head, and she's been in love with him ever since. She wears that pink bow every single day, because it's the only time anyone ever noticed her.
Nobody's ever noticed you.
There was someone.
Hi, nice bow. Huh? I like your bow because it's pink like your pants.
Honestly, after learning this, she went from an annoying recurring character to an absurd little girl that just wants to be noticed, and that brought a bloody tear to my eye. Almost makes me wonder what she turned out to be as a grown-up. At least she got with Arnold in the end. The same can't be said for another kid with pretty much a similar backstory. Stanley Pines isn't the first person that would come to mind when you think of an abused child. Or actually, maybe he is. The awkward, lovable grand uncle of the Pines twins had a pretty rough upbringing before he became the owner of the Mystery Shack. This man has hit rock bottom so many times, he had to start digging with a spoon. Just like Helga, he had a super perfect brother that his parents gave a bit more attention to.
And then there was my nerdy twin brother Stanford. As if his abnormally high IQ wasn't enough, he also had a rare birth defect. 6 fingers on each hand.
That's pretty standard for cartoon parents at this point, but the Pines are a bit of a different breed. See, Stan and his twin brother, Stanford, aka Ford, grew up in Glassshard Beach in New Jersey. Lovely name for a town, isn't it? They were best mates as kids, built a boat together called the Stano War, and had a shared dream of sailing the world, searching for treasure. Proper brotherhood stuff. The only hook in it was that Ford was smart. I mean PhD level smart. He was clearly destined for greatness. Stan was, well, the dumber and sweatier version, as the school bully put it. He was street smart, sure. He'd definitely be able to hold his own bargaining with a street merchant, more than Ford ever could, that's for sure. But at that age, if you're not getting straight A's, you might as well be bottom of the barrel. That always put a sour patch on the Stan twins' relationship, and it all came to a head when they were 18. Ford built a perpetual motion machine for the science fair in the hopes of getting into a high-class university that'd make him rich and successful. But Ford, going off to a good school, meant that his dream with Stan of sailing the world was dead. And his frustration ends with him accidentally breaking Ford's machine while venting. Now, of course, Stan didn't do this on purpose, but Ford's dreams just got crushed. He accuses his brother, and their father Philbrick came in and went mental. Stan begged his mother to defend him, but Ford just sadly locked him out. His own twin brother watched him get disowned and get absolutely nothing. They kicked Stan out before he'd even graduated high school. And that's what led him to become the career scammer we know and love today. At least, that's how he picked up the skills. By the end of his reign of terror, he'd been banned from 32 states. 32! That is more than half of America.
These are fake IDs, Mabel. You wouldn't need these unless you were trying to hide your real identity.
But why would Stan do that?
Then one day, after several more years of criminal shenanigans, he gets a surprise message from Ford. He drops everything and drives to Gravity Falls in Oregon, excited to meet with his brother after literally bloody years. And when he arrives, Ford hands him a journal and orders him to take it as far away as he can to bury it.
I have something to ask of you. Remember our plans to sail around the world on a boat? Take this book, get on a boat, and sail as far away as you can, to the edge of the earth. Bury it where no one can find it.
What bloody joke! If it isn't clear, I've always been on Stan's side in that sibling rivalry. Ford lost his chance at a great future, sure, but he didn't have to turn away from his brother for it. It was an honest mistake, and Stan should definitely have been punished. But Ford abandoned him, and that's on him. Personal grief aside, the crazy request after years of not seeing each other obviously leads to a fight. During the struggle, they accidentally reactivated this interdimensional portal Ford had built. Stan got thrown into the control panel, burning a symbol onto his back. In his anger, Stan punched Ford, which caused him to stumble backward and fall through the portal into another dimension. So, for all Stan knows, he just bloody killed his brother, and now he's got to bear the guilt for that. With no hope of Ford being alive, he hatches a plan to try and get Ford back. So, Stan fakes his own death and assumes Ford's identity. For the next 30 years, Stan lives as Stanford Pines, running the Mystery Shack by day and working on the portal every single night, all to bring back the brother who closed the curtains on him. And when Stan died in that car crash, his father Philbrick refused to attend the funeral, even though he thought his son was fucking dead. He didn't care enough to show up. Family really is your main downfall, isn't it? But you just can't help but love them anyway. And no man knows that better than Rick Sanchez. The man is a raging alcoholic who acts like the most nonchalant bastard in all the multiverses, and yet would put his life and yours on the line to protect his family. And then on the other hand, he's also the biggest arsehole you will ever have the displeasure of interacting with. So his family doesn't even know how much he really loves them.
You're crying over a Morty?
And the worst thing about it all is that the family we follow for the majority of the damn series isn't even his.
Out there
That's my grave. On one of our adventures, Rick and I basically destroyed the whole world. So we bailed on that reality and we came to this one.
Before Rick turned into the nihilistic mad scientist and genius with whom we are very familiar, he was basically just an ordinary person. He had a caring wife, Diane, and a little demon spawn named Beth. He was a pretty happy guy, all things considered, back then when he wasn't portal diving through the multiverse. But then one day a portal opened in his garage, and he had the first unfortunate encounter with Rick Prime. Rick Prime had already accomplished what was considered the impossible, interdimensional travel, and he was now on a mission to assemble a team of Ricks from different dimensions to join him. Sounds like a pretty awesome start to a crazy adventure. Except the selling point for this new life is for all Ricks who join to abandon their family and come work for him. And for a family man like Rick C-137, that's not too inviting. So, of course, our Rick refused, giving up a life of multiversal adventures to stay with his wife and kid. And of course, Rick Prime is a Rick. He took that personally. So, his response to being rejected is by tossing bombs at Rick C-137's garage with no remorse. The blast took Diane and Beth's lives in a flash.
You wanna know my stupid crybaby backstory? Knock yourself out. Not now!
In a split second, Rick's entire family was wiped out for no reason whatsoever. Rick has done some seriously messed up things in his life, but this time, it really wasn't his fault. He simply dared to want to stay with his family, rather than go adventuring in different dimensions with another version of himself. Can you imagine being killed because your husband refused to go on a mate's trip? Rick was left standing amidst the debris of his ruined house, physically injured and emotionally devastated. For an indefinite amount of time, he sank into a profound depression. And what does a Rick do when he's been put down? He really invents some crazy shit. Rick C-137 invents portal fluid from scratch and enters his first portal with nothing but revenge on his mind. For decades, Rick tracked down Rick Prime through infinite dimensions. He even made a genetic tracker to follow him, after killing hundreds of his own alternate versions just because they were not the right one. He kept on searching for the correct one in his pursuit from universe to universe. A person like this went on a multiversal murder spree that lasted longer than most people's careers. Seeing what Rick C-137 was doing, other Ricks came to think that it was necessary to stop him. An alliance was formed among them, and they went to confront, intending to kill Rick C-137 before he could kill more of them. Our Rick nearly annihilated all of them. The survivors were so terrified, they just pledged loyalty to him. This man went from an average dad that's a few dozen IQ points higher than most to the rickest Rick in the bloody universe. But even the rickest Rick can't beat Rick Prime. Hell, the rickest Rick never bloody found the guy that made him invent portal travel in the first place. He just gave up and went down the path of alcoholism. He left the Citadel, and later on, as a way of escape, he crashed his spaceship into another dimension's Beth's garage, where Beth's Rick had deserted her a few years back. Rick chose to stay there, and for the time being, pretend to be her dad, all while hoping that Rick Prime would eventually come back so he would be able to get his revenge. And if it were possible, it gets even worse than that. After some years, Rick came to comprehend that Rick Prime was not the only one that had only killed his Diane. To elaborate, Rick Prime created an extremely potent weapon that could thoroughly erase a person from all dimensions throughout infinity. And he actually used it to wipe out every single Diane in the whole multiverse. Rick is capable of traveling to unlimited universes, yet he can never, ever see his wife again. That's because she doesn't exist anywhere. Diane has been completely wiped out of reality. Then, after 40 plus years of chasing one another, in Season 7, Rick finally killed Rick Prime by beating him to death with his bare hands. It was totally hollow. Diane is still gone. Beth is still gone. Rick is still alone, still drinking, still feeling miserable. The rest of his life is basically a curse. I don't blame the guy for drinking until he blacks out. His life sucks. You're the smartest person in the universe, and everyone thinks because of that, you're immune to having feelings and emotions. But deep down, Rick is hurt and tired and just wants to end it all. But he loves the family that isn't even his so much that he can't just bring himself to do it.
Are you afraid of me now? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel that I can see your soul?
But at least Rick is bloody present. Well, I mean, he tries to be when he's not drunk. But there's another scientist that had his life turned around because of one simple mistake. Simon Petrikov, better known as the Ice King, is what happens when you watch someone you love slowly forget who you are while you're powerless to stop it. For most of Adventure Time, Ice King is just this creepy old weirdo who kidnaps princesses and annoys the absolute shit out of Finn and Jake.
Ice King!
What?
Oh, you got him.
Nice job, Marceline.
Your constant harassment of the female gender makes me sick.
He's the comic relief villain, the running gag, the guy you're supposed to laugh at when he gets his ass kicked for the 100th time. He's obsessed with finding a wife, he's got penguin minions, and he lives in a castle made of ice. It's proper mental stuff, that. But then the show pulls back the curtain, and you realise you've been laughing at a man suffering from magical dementia for 6 seasons. Before the apocalypse, Simon was completely normal. He was an antiquarian and archaeologist, a bit of a nerd, wore glasses, studied ancient artifacts, and he had a fiancée named Betty. They were properly in love. The kind of couple that makes you believe in soulmates and all that shit. One day, Simon found this ancient crown in a market in Scandinavia. Being the curious academic he was, he bought it to study it. He put it on his head as a joke to make Betty laugh.
After purchasing this crown from an old dock worker in northern Scandinavia, I brought it home and excitedly showed my fiancée Betty. I jokingly put it on my head just for a laugh or something, and that's when it started. The visions. I fought with them, shouted at them until I realized it wasn't real, it was the crown!
And then that's when everything went to shit. The crown gave him ice powers, sure, but it also made him go absolutely mad. He started speaking in a strange voice, calling Betty his princess, acting completely deranged. When he finally ripped the crown off, he came back to himself, terrified. He knew immediately that something was horribly wrong with it. So Simon did the smart thing and locked the crown away. But then the Mushroom War happened. The world literally ended. Bombs were falling, civilization was collapsing, and in a desperate attempt to protect Becky from the chaos, Simon put the crown back on. He knew what it would do to him, but he loved her so much that he didn't care. He'd rather lose himself than lose her. Every time Simon wore the crown, he lost a little bit more of himself. His memories started slipping away. His personality changed. He kept video diaries documenting his deterioration, recording himself apologizing to Betty, begging future viewers to help him.
I know my mind is changing, but I'm already too far gone to know what to do. I want people to know that if I do things that hurt anyone, please forgive me.
One tape shows him sobbing, barely coherent, as he realises he's forgetting Betty's face. In his final moments of clarity, Simon told Betty to leave him. He begged her to run because he was becoming something dangerous. And Betty, heartbroken, had no choice but to go. By the time we meet Ice King in the show, Simon is completely gone. Ice King has vague notions about wanting a princess, but he doesn't remember why. He doesn't remember Betty. He doesn't remember sacrificing his sanity to save her. He just knows he's lonely and sad, and he has no bloody clue why. The man who loves someone so much he destroyed himself to protect her doesn't even remember her name. And a quick honourable mention, by the way. What about these adorable ducklings from DuckTales? You guys know them, right? Sweet little nephews living with Uncle Donald, having adventures, being cute.
Are you really our uncle? How old are you?
What's your net worth?
What's the deal with you and Uncle Donald?
Oh, is that fork real silver? Can I have it?
How come you never visit?
Oh, because you're so old and moving is so hard.
You owe us like a lot of birthday presents.
But here's what nobody talks about. Where the hell are their parents? Like, seriously, Uncle Donald just has them. Full custody, no questions asked. And there's a reason for that. According to the original comics, these 3 little psychopaths decided to play a prank on their father. What kind of prank, do you ask? Oh, just putting firecrackers under his chair. You know, the normal kid stuff. Except their father ended up in hospital and then, get this, he's never mentioned again. Not once. It's like he vanished off the face of the earth. Some people think they literally killed their own father with a prank gone wrong. I just can't. Imagine how these kids must feel. You accidentally end your dad with firecrackers, and now you're stuck with your uncle who literally cannot speak properly. Sometimes I look at this and wonder if Disney knew what they were doing, or if they just thought no one would notice. Okay, this one might be the most mental one. We need to talk about Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb, because this is played for laughs in the show. But when you actually list out everything this man went through, it stops being funny and starts being a literal CPS case. Let me just run through the highlights here. Neither of his parents showed up to his birth.
It all began on the day of my actual birth. Both of my parents failed to show up.
Like, how does that even happen? Were they both too busy? What were they doing? What was more important than their child being born? They disowned him as a kid and forced him to live with ocelots, wild animals. He was raised by wild cats. They also made him wear dresses as a child, forgot about him constantly, never showed up to his birthdays, and his mother's love was always inexplicably linked to kickball, which Hines was terrible at.
My mother's love was always inexplicably linked to kickball, and my brother was an expert from the start. But I lacked finesse. So when put to the test, I couldn't kick my way right into her heart.
When he came home, his parents made him dress as a lawn gnome because theirs got repossessed. He had to stand outside pretending to be a garden ornament.
From a tender age, my father decided that it would be me. While the other children played kick the stolpen and ate dunkelberries, I would stand for hours. All through the cold night, as the Spitzenhound howled, my only companion was the moon.
And we're supposed to laugh at this. Actually, yeah, we are, because the show is hilarious. But also, Doofenshmirtz is clearly mentally ill from years of abuse and neglect. The fact that he only builds silly animators and fights a platypus instead of being an actual threat to society is honestly a miracle. Look, we've done videos on problematic parents before, but Doofenshmirtz's parents might be the worst. And that's saying something. We need to talk about Rugrats, specifically Chuckie Finster. So, Chuckie was always the nervous kid, right? Scared of everything, anxious, worried, and we just thought that that was his personality. Wrong. Chuckie's mother died before the series even started. She's gone, dead, terminal illness. And this baby barely remembers her.
This is her diary. She started keeping it when she was in the hospital. The last thing she wrote in it was a poem for you.
She left him a poem, and that's all he has left. The Mother's Day special, where they reveal this, I watched as a kid and sobbed. I full-on cried. Tommy, Phil, and Lil are making Mother's Day cards, and Chuckie just can't.
Hi, little guy. Did you and your friends have fun?
They try to find him a new mum. They go through the neighborhood, looking at different women. And it's sweet, but also heartbreaking, because none of them can replace what he's lost. I just can't imagine how poor Chuckie must feel. This is a baby processing death and loss. A toddler trying to hold on to fading memories of someone he loved. And people wonder why he was so scared all the time. The kid is dealing with grief at age 2. Sometimes I wonder if Rugrats went too far with this episode. Was this necessary? Did kids need to learn about death through a cartoon baby? But also, it's beautifully done. It's devastating, but it is kind of beautiful. Casper, the friendly ghost, seems innocent enough, right? Cute ghost, wants friends, doesn't want to scare people, wholesome. Except Casper is literally a dead child.
Oh, hell no!
The 1995 movie made this very clear. Casper was a real boy who died at the age of 12 from pneumonia. Here's what happened. Little Casper begged his dad to let him go sledding. It was cold, but Dad said yes. Casper went sledding, got sick, and died. His father was so devastated that he became obsessed with bringing him back. Spent the rest of his life building machines to resurrect his dead son. So, Casper is a 12-year-old corpse wandering around as a ghost, trying to make friends because he's too nice to scare people.
Doing, Professor?
I'm experimenting with a time machine. I'm ready to demonstrate.
He can't remember how he died. He's stuck at 12 forever. Everyone he meets grows up and moves on, and Casper just stays there, alone. For eternity. That's not friendly, that's tragic. Every time he makes a friend, they leave. Every time he connects with someone, they're scared, or they grow up, or they forget him.
You're goddamn right.
Imagine being 12 years old forever. Just stuck, no future, no growing up, no life. Just existing as a dead kid. This is horrifying, and we call him the friendly ghost like that makes it any better. Look, if you watched Courage the Cowardly Dog as a kid, you had nightmares. That show was terrifying. The art style, the monsters, the bloody horror of it all. But Courage's actual backstory, even worse than anything in the show. Damn! In Remembrance of Courage Past, we find out what happened to his parents. So, Courage's parents were nice. Normal dogs. They took baby Courage to the vet for a checkup. Regular stuff. Except the vet was a sadistic monster conducting experiments on dogs. And Courage's parents? He launched them into outer space. Just shot them into space in a rocket, along with dozens of other dogs.
What are you doing to us?
Baby Courage watched his parents disappear into the sky. He escaped through a trash chute and ended up alone in an alley where Muriel found him.
Poor thing. Out here all alone. What? I'll call you Courage. We'll have a grand time.
But here's the part that kills me. His parents were alive up there for decades, just floating in space, trapped in a rocket, waiting. When Courage defeats the vet at the end, we see them. They're still up there. They've been waiting this whole time. I just can't. Imagine how poor Courage must feel. This dog watched his parents get shot into space, escaped through garbage, and has spent his entire life protecting Muriel because he's terrified of losing another parent.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT!
And people ask why Courage is so scared. The dog has severe trauma. He literally has PTSD from watching his parents get launched into space by a mad scientist. Actually, you know what? The fact that Courage is as brave as he is, constantly saving Muriel, despite being terrified, makes him a hero. This dog has every reason to run and hide, but he fights monsters to protect the people he loves. Sometimes I wonder if the creators knew how dark this was.
You're dark, Raj. I don't care.
Or if they just thought it would be a cool backstory. Okay, guys, this one gets me every time. For years, people said SpongeBob and his friends were mutated by nuclear radiation. It was a fan theory, a dark, messed up fan theory. Except it's completely true.
What?
A SpongeBob writer confirmed it. Bikini Bottom is under Bikini Atoll, the real location where the US detonated 23 nuclear bombs between 1946 and 1958. 23 nuclear bombs. The Castle Bravo bomb was 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. 1,000 times! And here's the worst part. 167 native Bikinians were forcibly removed so the US could use their home as a nuclear testing site. They were exposed to so much radiation that they still can't go back to this day.
What?
We're flying to Philadelphia!
Oh, hell no!
That's
hell no! No!
So, every time you watch SpongeBob flipping Krabby Patties, you were watching radioactive mutants living in a nuclear fallout zone. The 1950s aesthetic, the tiki imagery, the retro vibes, it's all referencing the nuclear testing era when real people were being displaced.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Sandy wears a protective suit. Every explosion looks like a mushroom cloud. The original plan was that the human world was dead, but they toned it down for kids. The town is called Bikini Bottom, as in the bottom of Bikini Atoll, the nuclear testing site. And we all just watched it as kids, singing the theme song, not knowing we were watching a show about nuclear disaster survivors living in radioactive fallout.
How? How?
I don't know.
I just can't. This is dark. This isn't a theory. This is confirmed. SpongeBob SquarePants is literally about mutated creatures living in the aftermath of nuclear testing. I mean, sometimes I wonder if the creators thought parents would figure this out, or if they just didn't care. I am curious, guys. Which origin messed you up the most? Comment below. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more content. Not Fair Studios out? Oh, cheerio.